And, in the original Tax Cut and Jobs Act, and that was part of the pay for. Now they want to get rid of that. Of course, they're talking about getting rid of the carried interest deduction, but they always talk about that. Biden talked about it. Trump talked about it too when he first got elected. He was supposed to get rid of that. They can't get rid of it, even though because it doesn't actually save a lot of money. It's only about $1 billion a year, but it's $1 billion that goes to billionaires, right there. Who do you think runs these hedge funds? But they obviously give a lot of money to the politicians, and so that sacred cow never gets gored, despite the fact that a lot of people talk about it. Maybe Trump will be able to do it this time. I don't know. But so far, they've tried to kill it over and over again, both Republicans and Democrats, and no one could do it. But again, the significance is more symbolic. I mean, I think it would be fair. Personally, yeah, we should get rid of that. I like to get rid of the entire income tax, but we're going to have an income tax, then we should have the carried interest deduction. It should be taxed the same as everybody else. If you run a hedge fund for a living, you should pay the same tax as any other occupation. The government shouldn't be trying to favor one particular occupation over another by trying to use the tax code to get people to pursue their income one way versus doing it another. Now, I get the capital gains, but carried interest is not really capital gains because you didn't put it in capital. Sure, if you manage a hedge fund and you put your own money into that hedge fund and then you get a capital gain, yeah, you get the same capital gains treatment as your customer. But if you manage a hedge fund and you carry it, which means you have no money up front, right? You're getting a percentage of gains as compensation for work that you did to produce those gains. It should be taxed as ordinary income. Just like I have an asset management company, your Pacific Asset Management, we charge management fees instead of a performance fee. So we have to pay taxes. Of course, I'm not the greatest example because I'm in Puerto Rico, right? So I'm only paying 4% tax. But if I still live in the United States, I would pay 37% tax on the management fee that I charge to manage money. Why should a hedge fund that charges a fee a different way pay 20%? We should all be taxed the same. Now, of course, any hedge fund manager wants to move to Puerto Rico, wants to have the same tax treatment as me. That's why a lot of my neighbors run hedge funds, right? A lot of people have come down here. So that's the legitimate way to get out from under these high taxes. But even if they were to get rid of it, it's not going to amount to anything. When people are talking about inflation, I'm going to get into inflation a lot after this break. But when people are talking about the inflation threat, it's not coming from tariffs. Yes, tariffs are going to make all sorts of goods more expensive, but they'll end up making a lot of services less expensive, which of course is bad news if you're providing those services and you're an American, right? Because we don't import our services, we do that domestically, but we import all the goods, a lot of the goods, and so they're going to be more expensive. The real inflation threat is coming from a much bigger budget deficit that are going to be the result of tax cuts and a failure to reduce spending. We're going to have bigger deficits. We're going to have more money printing. We're going to have more quantitative easing. And that's the reason we're going to have a lot more inflation. not tariffs, even though I don't really think they're going to get imposed to them. Because I think inside the Trump administration, they realize the harm they do domestically, and they've already seen the reaction in the market. It's like, the trial balloon ends up being the Hindenburg. You back away. Anyway, we got a quick commercial break. I got a lot to discuss on this podcast, so stick around. Coming right back. As a business owner, I know the challenge of navigating unpredictable markets, interest rates.
Aslan.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining, and welcome back to Wall Street Bullion. Our guest is former Congressman Ron Paul. Thanks for joining us, Dr. Paul.
Good to be with you.
It's a huge pleasure having you come down. I want to get you on to talk about everything that's happening with the gold and the silver market. There's so much excitement happening right now. But first, I wanted to start off with gold. Where do you think gold is going in 2025? And we're hitting new all-time highs. So where do you think we're going for 2025?
Well, over the years, the number I looked at every morning, ever since the Bretton Woods broke down, because that was the highest to be. I had been introduced to market economics before that. It was predicted that Bretton Woods would break down. And at that time, it was $35 an ounce. And I said, wow, this is a big deal. Gold is going up, spending is going up, and $35 an ounce. I never dreamed. I dreamed of it, thought it too, but even when it happened, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, next week it'll be $4,000. So, but I watched spending, and it's an addiction. There's a lot of talk of balancing the budget, coming home and not fighting so many wars and getting rid of the welfare state and all of that. Well, having been around politics for a long time, there's a lot of talk. It never happens. They keep spending. As long as they're spending and having these huge deficits and the purchasing power of the dollar going down, there's no other place to go for gold except up in the terms of dollars. The value of gold is, reasonably stable in purchasing power, but when it's related to the dollar, we shouldn't. I try to avoid, even though I talk about the price of gold. What we're really talking about is the value of the dollar. If you think that way, you say, boy, there's people ganging up on us right now. They like to undo our status as the world reserve currency. So I predict, really a wild prediction, gold prices are going to go up. I'm not going to tell you exactly when and how much, but they're going to go up.
Yeah, absolutely, Dr. Paul. And, even looking right now, a lot of people in the precious metal space are talking about, the tariffs. How are the tariffs going to affect the precious metals prices, and if they are going to affect them? What do you think about the tariffs? Do you think those are going to affect precious metals, and how do you think it'll, affect the global economy?
Well, they're terrible. And I think the whole idea is a tariff. If you think of tariffs as a tax on the consumer, people shouldn't be so energized and say, boy, this is a solution. We're going to, substitute the gold with crypto and Bitcoin, and it'll go up automatically in price, and we're going to pay off the debt. That's the kind of dreaming that it goes on. So I think that the economy, of course, is a lot worse than they claim, and I think that the deficit is going to. I love what's going on and some of the things that Trump's talking about, cutting back, but he'll say one thing one day, but the next day they're talking about taking over this country and that country and doing things, and supporting tariffs means that that you're hurting the consumer. I think tariffs are something that if you see this as a direct tax on the consumer, they might not be so energized. But to think that you get a magic arrangement with tariffs, that we get rid of the income tax and reduce our income tax, I think that is a dream. So that immediately a tariff is put on some items, and it helps a business because it gave them a little protection. Isolated tariffs on certain items can push their prices up. That's the price of the issue. That is not inflation. So if they put a tariff on cars and the car prices go up, that's the prices. But you gotta look at the value of the dollar. Most people just think of prices as being separate from the value of the dollar, but you have to weigh two things. But I think a tariff. I don't know exactly what's going on. I'm not sure anybody knows exactly whether it's just maneuvering, and that's how you negotiate and what will happen. But it's not healthy for the economy. I think this morning the markets were saying once again, watch out. These tariffs are not going to be our solution.
There's about $15 trillion worth of physical gold in the world sitting there costing money rather than being used. It's just absolutely, it's right. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you, Dr. Paul. And, looking at not only the geopolitical landscape, but what's the end game for the U.S. dollar? It keeps depreciating, keeps devaluing, people keep losing their purchasing power. But how long can they keep this fiat currency game going, right, until it pops?
Well, that's unknown, but if they keep doing it, the value is going to pop. That when reserve currency in the world dissipates, you can't use it anymore as a reserve. It could be something like the pound. The pound was a reserve currency. It isn't the reserve currency of the world now.
Right.
So you might end up with a dollar, but you won't end up with a dollar that was mandated by the Constitution up until the 1930s, when we wouldn't even allow the American people to own gold. So I think there's going to be a lot of trouble, and the prices are going to go up. But we have to be sure that people understand prices going up. If there's a hurricane, prices go up. That's not inflation. Inflation comes by deficit and the monetization of deficit, and that devalues the currency. And you cannot, one thing Austrian economics teaches, you can look at trends and understand trends, but you can't understand timing and exactly how far what will happen, because there's a philosophy in Austrian economics called the subjective theory of value. So there's a lot of subjectivity going in. Just think of the 20 years, 1980s, after the adjustment, Bretton Woods breaking up. In 1980, the year 2000, gold was not a healthy investment, and gold in the beginning of this century was $270. What's going on? But now I still marvel, and I should be totally. I'm not totally shocked, because I've been saying it's going to happen. The gold to where it is now, just think if it went up percentage-wise. Do a calculation of the percentage increase from 35 up to 800, and I think we're in a period of time it's going to go up significantly. But how it's going to evolve and what's going to happen, I do not think you get richer by managing, the reserve currency of the world, and think that you can have unlimited spending on militarism and expansion overseas and deficits at home and people living, on debt. That is not going to happen. All I know is it's getting closer and closer. But I think a couple events in the next 2 months could happen and cause a really huge jump. But you might have a situation where there will be some confidence conveyed to people, and people aren't, investing with the idea that bad things are coming. But all I know is that we live in very shaky times. It was amazing to me that the Bretton Woods things lasted as long as it did. Those who predicted it were right. But I think a lot of people, including myself, was a little surprised that there was such a calm era, from 1980 up to the year 2000. Because, the confidence level was there, even though the understanding of money wasn't there. And we had license to spend, license to expand, get into all these wars, expand the welfare state. Very popular political position, but eventually the addiction, as it is with real addiction, eventually it comes to an end, and maybe it will be the total killing of the dollar, not destruction of the dollar where you won't even hear about dollars, but at least it'll destroy the purchasing power of the dollar.
Absolutely. Do you think there will ever be a chance, like let's say the next financial collapse comes in the next 5, 10, 15 years, and it really, the U.S. dollar and the fiat system really breaks apart? Do you think we'll ever go back to those standards?
In a way, I feel like I'm on the gold standard because, it was a big thing. We saw the breakdown of the Bretton Woods, and that was sort of bottoming out of all the things that Roosevelt did, and the spending and lying to the world, and we went bankrupt and we couldn't honor our commitment. Use our money and we'll guarantee the gold. Well, that broke down and we couldn't do it. But a couple of years after Bretton Woods went down, we re-legalized in 76, 75. You could buy gold again. So you can be on the gold standard right now if you back it up. And I sort of practice that in my own personal way, is trying to, if I invest something, I'd like to put my savings, at least have a saving in gold. And so that's a big deal that we can own gold. So it's not been all downhill, but the downhill has been the illusion that it's a viable system that's wonderful, and we were blessed with it, and it's our God-given right to run the world and run an empire. And that's where the fallacy is. And people have trusted gold. But I would say in the last couple of years, the trust is fading, and I don't think the trust is going to be returned anytime soon.
Yeah, absolutely, Dr. Paul. What do you feel, or what do you think about the geopolitical landscape right now, with everything that's happened in the past day or two with the United States, the Middle East, and everything that's happening around the world? What do you feel that do you think the U.S. is doing the right thing, the wrong thing with the Middle East? What's your opinion there?
Well, I think there are some good things when you hear about cutting down USAID. That is big, and there's more and more stories how wicked it was getting involved in the last campaign. Truth is coming out. Truth will win out in the end. But this is a real blessing to find out more about it. I just hope it wakes up the American people to how corrupt the whole system.
We literally grabbed a guy earlier that was probably at least my height, bigger, and he was doing stuff like this, taking pictures. And so my boss was like, "You need to delete the pictures." So he starts to delete them. I was stood behind him. I was asking, "How good you recently deleted and delete those pictures?" And it's like, I mean, that's literally what we just did to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Professor Croft indicated the sentinel artifact is somewhere in the tunnels below you. The amulet should help you find it, if you can determine how it works.
Why are there angry corpses everywhere we go? If there's a curse here, it's on me.
That's right, lads. Put your backs
It was my dad.
Sorry to interrupt your miserable shit-sucking existence.
That place has been shunned by locals for years. Even the syndicate avoids it. Some say it rains blood there.
And here's me without my umbrella.
He's not. Yeah, I don't know what happened there, but he's not. He's still right now. He is.
A little heads up, the Rick Toffin was Kraft's son. Would have been nice, Sam.
Alright, so we left the shop. We just pulled up to the Lakeland RV Funding Center where local coin show is. Got $2,000. Putting all this in my pocket, and we're not going to stop spending until it's gone. So I heard it's free entry. We're going to go in here, and we're going to try to find stuff to give away to y'all on our next coin show. I'm here by myself, so I'm going to try to record the best I can, but it's a little bit harder when you're trying to buy and kind of record at the same time by yourself. So I'm going to do my best, and if I don't get it really good on camera, I'll show y'all what I'm it. So I'd rather spend it with the local guys that come to the shop. I appreciate it. So I'll take a look at the Riverside. I'll take a look at the Canadian. First Frank. Maybe even this. What do they call that? Just hoops? 2 ounces. 2 ounces. How much are they? 5 ounces. You're looking at 34 feet. So I think like if you wanted one of them, probably like 52. What about the moose? Our moose is 34. 34. I'll do one of the moose. Okay. You want to pick? It don't matter, man. Whichever one you want. I'm good with it.